So hello, and our topic today is when characters take control, writing romance with a mind of its own. You ready, Mina?
Yes, I am. I can definitely talk about that.
All
Uh,
right. And in a lively episode of the Mina Valentine Show, Mina will open up about the unpredictable magic of writing historical romance when the characters start calling the shots. She shares how her heroes and heroines often decide their own fate. All right, so Mina, how do you begin with voices in your head? Explain.
okay. Um, I'm a pantser. There's two types of writers, particularly in romance novels. And a pantser is a person that has a basic outline of the story, knows how it's going to start, know how it's going to end, and then they kind of develop it as they go. That's a pantser. And then a plotter is a person that outlines every chapter, blah, blah, blah. I'm not like that. I'm not like that. And so my characters kind of tell me what they want to do. And I know that's hard to understand, but in in one story I was writing, um, the girl's father died at the very beginning of the story. And at the end of the story, we find out that his good friend murdered him. I didn't know that was going to happen.
No.
I didn't know that was going to happen. My characters did that. And I'm like, I can't believe that. In another story, I was the main character's father was murdered, but by the main character, he killed him in self defense, and so the main character is gone. He comes home and he's calling for his mother, and he can't find her. So he walks into the bedroom, and she's in bed with another man. And so and he knows the guy. He's like, "What, mother?" And I didn't know that was going to happen, but my character wanted it to happen. And I mean, I had not planned that. It was, I never in my wildest dreams had ever thought that I was going to have the doctor end up with John's mother. But it happened. I don't know how it happens. And people ask me to explain it, and it's hard it's hard to do. I see the characters in my head, and I know what they're like, and I know if they're strong, if they're funny, if they're passive. I know all those things about the characters. But then they kind of create themselves. Um, it's like AI. You tell it something and then it just goes takes off. Well,
It creates what it wants to create, and I think that's the coolest thing.
yeah.
You're like AI, you create. So tell me a little bit about forces how a trope lets the story choose it. So you're basically forcing that trope, aren't you?
Well,
Or never force the trope.
I sometimes you end up with an extra trope, but um, tropes to me are always have always been. Now you can have rich man, poor woman, or you can say lovers, enemies to lovers, or you can have friends to lovers. Mine don't particularly fit those categories, but um, they're more like rich man, poor woman, unrequited love, those kind of tropes, if they are particularly tropes. But I know that you need them when you're trying to describe the book in just a few words, like BookBud. And I was going to send you this because BookBud is is taking not applications, but for people to fill in stuff to get their book on BookBud. And part of the thing that they want when you submit your request is tropes. And so that's the hardest part for me. The description of the book I can do in a few sentences, but trying to figure out the tropes for them is a little tough sometimes.
I'm in trouble, so I'll have to ask AI what a trope is. The fine line between romance with steam versus novels about steam. What do you're really tell me how you're able to do that?
Well, I don't understand the latter. Novels about steam.
Yeah.
Is that like
Steamy romance. So
is that
romance with steam
Shades of Grey?
versus novels about steam. So the
No,
fine line, yeah.
novels about steam to me would probably be something like 50 Shades of Grey. Mine are romance novels that have sex scenes, um, like the couple is stuck somewhere and they're spending time and they build up a relationship and they have sex, or uh, the guy, the girl's attracted to him and he's very attracted to her. He wants to have sex with her, but he knows they call him innocence. She's an innocent. And so he just performs oral sex on her.
Okay, we're going deeper into this podcast. Let's move on to the next question. Uh, a behind the scenes peek into the Four Horsemen came to life. Tell me a little bit about that behind the scenes
I don't.
process of how you tell me how you made up these four horsemen.
Oh well, the um, the first book.
A threesome plus one
No,
of four men with you?
no, no, no. I'm pretty conservative. I mean, well, yeah, I'm pretty conservative about those kind of things. One on one is enough for me if they're good. But the first book I wrote was based on my grandfather and my grandmother. Um, there are huge similarities between the male and female character. The time isn't the same. The way they look isn't the same, particularly. I mean, yeah, they look basically the same. My grandmother was very small and had huge bosoms, and my grandfather was very tall, very masculine, and he fell in love with my grandmother the minute he saw her. And I asked him years later, I said, Pappy, what was it about her that attracted you to her initially? And he said, don't ever tell your grandmother this, but it was her tits. but but she was so small. He's very stoic, and that's the way Martin is in the book. Very stoic. Doesn't like a lot of people. Only hangs out with those four horsemen. He may know other people in society, but those four horsemen were the men that he was close to, that he talked to, that he spent time with. And Frederick, the main character in book 2, was his best friend because they grew up together since they were leading strings. My grandfather did not necessarily have one of those. But the man that I write about in the second book is a man that I would have enjoyed and never really had the pleasure. um, Frederick really is a man that, like I said, because Frederick is fun. He's funny. Now I've been with men that were had a lot of money, that took me a lot of places. We did a lot of things, and I had a really great time. But I don't think I was ever around a man that had all those qualities and was funny too. And Frederick is that. And then Jonathan in book 3 is a lot like Martin in book 1. He is a lot more caring than Martin, but he's still he go to the he was like Martin. Why should I dance with somebody if I don't care about him? You know. So Jonathan wouldn't dance with anybody, and Martin wouldn't either. And that's what shocked everybody at the ball when Martin walked across the dance floor and grabbed Muriel and had her dance with him, because nobody had ever seen him dance. But Jonathan's the same way, but he loves his mother. He cares a lot for her. He takes care of her. Henry's not good with numbers, so he helps Henry behind the scenes so that nobody will know, but those two, so Henry won't be embarrassed. So I don't know where the last two characters came from, but they just showed
Pop in your head.
They just showed up. And Henry is probably the sweetest. And he's book 4. He's the sweetest of the 4. He's the only one that had parents that were still living, and he was an only child, just like Martin and Jonathan. But Henry his family owned a construction company, which if you're in the aristocracy, you're not supposed to do that. So they say, well, we own it, but we don't work it. But Henry liked to work it, so he was built like a brick something or other. And they all 4 of them had mistresses at one time or another, because they all had a lot of money.
All right. So, Money in the Four Horsemen. People can pick up your books. Go to minavalentine.com or Amazon, right?
Yes, and there are 3 books. And what upsets me about Amazon is book 1 is listed in the 3rd position, but you really and you can read each one. They stand alone, but it helps if you read them in a sequence. So please start with book 1.
and contact Jeff Bezos if you're upset. Okay.
Well, he's getting married today, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. To somebody who's had more plastic surgery than
Oh my God. You know what? And I told my husband, I said, I mean, this woman has been completely rebuilt. But I said, you know what? If I had all kinds of money, I might do that too.
All right. That was the special simulcast Neil Haley Show and the Mina Valentine
one more
Show.
thing.
Take care. One more thing.
If anyone out there that's listening is interested in doing a podcast with us that writes romance novels, doesn't have to be historical. If they are interested in doing a podcast with us, please let us know. We'd be happy